Ben from Snowy's here, folks, today with a 23-0 Panther 1600 hard shell rooftop tent.
Hit it.
This is an easy setup two-person rooftop tent with a small footprint suitable for dual cabs or small roofs, and it's got a hard aluminium shell that sits over the top that you can mount solar panels onto. Before we dive in, we've got loads more content like this on our channel, so make sure you like and subscribe below. Now let's jump into the product. So we've got the Panther 1600 set up sort of in the corner of the shopper. It's a little bit tight, not a lot of space, but we'll do our best to show you how it might look on top of your roof. We've just got it sitting on top of the pallets here. Now the whole thing weighs 72 kilos for the tent. Then you want to add about another 3 or 4 kilos for the accessories and things that come with it. That's all the nuts, bolts and brackets that we'll show you shortly. And when it's set up like this, the measurements are about 2.8 meters, 280 centimeters from the end of the awning there to the very back of where this, the cover sort of sits on the back of the car here where it folds out to. And width-wise, it's 124 centimeters from each side of, or from side to side of this hard cover here, but then the windows on the side here add about another 70 centimeters. So that gives you what, 260 centimeters or thereabouts width if you were to set this window up on the other side there. And height-wise, from the top here, or sort of to where the handles are, because it sticks up above here, to down where the actual mounting rails are on the bottom here, it's about 125 or maybe allow 130 centimeters if you're in a position where you need that clearance while this opens up. Probably not really something you need to be concerned with. I'm just going to squeeze in back here to show you this. Now there's a little bit more detail on our setup pack down video here, but you've got roof rails that are fixed on the top here. They're 90 centimeter centers. There's no rating for these. Designed really to put a fixed solar panel or a hard solar panel on top of your rooftop tent here. Now the orientation of this only goes one way on the vehicle. So this is such that this is the front of the vehicle. The tent will always travel this way, which means this always folds out to the passenger side and the tent always folds over the driver's side of the vehicle. You can't reverse it around the other way. This side is much flatter. This is the aerodynamic side. What that means is that if you've got an awning on this side of the tent, you just need to be wary of how this is mounted, because the hinges for this top here are right back underneath here, which means the side of your vehicle sits here, and if you've got an awning sitting next to it, when this folds out, it's going to hit the awning. So you just need to have a think about the orientation of the awning and where this sits on your vehicle. You've got about 25 centimeters from where this bracket sits here to the furthest point out to where this comes here, and it's going to be a little bit further if you've got a solar panel on top there. So if you're looking at how this fits on top of your car, just consider, if you've got an awning on the passenger side of your vehicle, how this fits in with that. Now the hinges that we saw down underneath there are stainless steel, if we're talking about fabrics that it's made of. The top here is a welded aluminium case that covers the entire tent when it's folded down. As I mentioned before, check out our pack up set down video on that one. The material here is a 230 GSM polycotton canvas. This has got a ripstop weave in it, and it has what's known there, 23-0, sorry, called their LST technology, which is a light suppressing technology. So it's a black coating on the underside that blocks out about 95% of the light, which makes it really dark inside. On top is a 210D fly sheet that's fixed on here. It's fixed up under here. There are zips, so you can remove all of this if you needed to, but there's no real need for that. Just set it up as full as it is. 210D polyester fly sheet with a 3000 millimeter waterhead rating. There's panels of mesh within the fly here and also within the tent. And underneath here, there's mesh panels here, which we'll show you a bit more on shortly. That's a nice heavy duty mesh, or it gives a good combination between being nice and fine and heavy duty. So it's going to keep most of the bugs out. Whether it's midge proof or not, it's a question of midges are getting through anything. The base 23-0 referred to as being a laminated aluminium honeycomb. I'm not exactly sure what that means, but I'm assuming there's a lightweight aluminium structure inside some solid or some flat panels that are laminated on each side. There are also some aluminium rails that are fixed in underneath here for mounting. So there's 2 of those at 80 centimeter centers. They run the full width of the tent, or full length of the tent there, at about 158 centimeters. People ask if you can move them. Look, you probably could, but we don't recommend it because they're situated in a spot to give stability for the tent so it doesn't rock. If you move them out too far, you get too much flex in the middle. Move them in too far, you get too much sort of movement in the tent. And you do get these flexible poles. There's 6 of these in total, which go into a little bit more detail in the setup, but these just a flexible steel pole. Now, inclusions with the tent, I've got what's left after it's set up spread out on the floor here. Now, you don't get a manual. You can find this online. Well, this one didn't come with a manual anyway. Maybe future models will, but you can find them online. You get 6 poles like this, which are these flexible poles that like we saw here, 2 or 4 with black ends, 2 with red ends. Make more sense in a setup pack down video. Once again, little repair kit there. You do get a couple of guy ropes and pegs, and I'll show you where you can attach them shortly on the front bit that folds over. Spanner and an Allen key just to help with mounting, and then you get various mounting options here. So plastic caps here that are designed to go in the end of the mounting channels here once you've actually got it mounted. And then you get various nuts and bolts and things. So these are the smaller bolts that will fit probably in the roof rails on the top of the canopy. And then M8 nuts that will fit on the bottom, and these inserts that actually go inside the rails on the bottom here. And you can use them in conjunction with these brackets here. And what that's designed to do is that your roof rails would be running across this way on your car. So the front of the car is up this end. This will sandwich over the top of the roof rail. So if my fingers are the roof rail, it will sit in there, sandwich on there. You can put your bolts in there and secure your tent on that way. And there'll be 4 mounting points, a little bit of foam on there. So they're really heavy duty. So by the time you put 4 of those in with all of these bolts, your tent's going to be really securely mounted on top of your car. Now I want to crawl in the tent and I'll show you the awning at the front, but before I do that, while I'm here, I just want to go through the windows on the side. So this is mirrored on the other side of the tent, and it uses these flexible poles just to hold it in place. You don't have to set these up. So if I take these poles out, we can store them in the bag that came with the tent for secure storage. You can then fold this up or roll this up. If you roll it underneath like this, the water doesn't get caught in it, but I'm going to be lazy today and roll it up this way. Use these tabs to secure it, and you can then see the window in underneath here. So there's 2 securing points for this, 1 and 2. We've now got a mesh panel here. You can undo that both from the inside and the outside to reveal a canvas panel inside there. So you can allow, there's 2 ventilation points where you can completely seal it up or just leave the mesh open. You can also access from inside, outside to be able to put these awnings out. So you don't have to do it from standing outside the tent. You can actually do it from inside if you like. I'll just show you too, while we're down the side here, there's a panel here that kind of sticks right down underneath the tent here. This is the folding point. So you've got this panel here folds over the top of this side here and inside. So you've got a bit of a gap there. So 2030, I've got this big panel here that just Velcros down over there, and there's also Velcro pads on the bottom there. So it tucks right up underneath there to try and make that a more secure or sealed spot. There's always little spots where bugs could crawl in if you've got sugar inside your tent or lollies, but that's going to keep most of the weather and stuff out. Coming across to the entrance of the Panther 1600 now. So this would be sitting over the top of our driver's door. So in underneath there would be our driver's door, and the car would be facing that way. So we start down the bottom. This ladder here is actually attached to the tent. This is part of the setup and pack down. This is sitting too low at the moment, but ideally this would be sitting at about a 75-degree angle and actually forms the structure for this side of the tent to give this support. So this takes the weight. 2.3 meter ladder it extends out to, so plenty of room for really tall cars. So above the ladder, you've got this little roll of fabric here, which rolls out over the top of the ladder when it's stored away, or for pack up, just to protect the ladder or protect the fabric from rubbing on the ladder. And you've also got this strap here just to keep the ladder together so it doesn't extend while you're not sort of in control of it. Now each side of the ladder, included with the tent, are a few storage pockets, and these are just attached in underneath here on a Keter or sail track. They just slide in. And they're both a little bit different, but they've both got this rain cover. So this one's rolled up on this side here. And then if you have a look at the one on this side here, this is actually folded down. So it's going to keep moisture. If it does rain, get a bit of moisture on here. There's a panel over here to keep the contents underneath dry, just secured by Velcro on the bottom there. You can roll this one up here as well. And on this one here, we've got 4 just mesh pockets. So you can just keep whatever accessories you can fit inside there. But then on the other side, it's more of a boot pocket. So you've got these large sort of pockets with a little bit of stiffener in here. So you can fit 2 pairs of shoes, or maybe even more pairs of shoes in here, so you can sit in the side of the tent and put your shoes on before you step down on the ground in the morning. So pretty handy storage. They stay secured for pack up. You need to take stuff out of it for pack up, but they just fold up with the tent. Moving up from there, looking at the awning, comes out just over the front of the tent here, so you've got a bit of protection as you crawl in here. So if it is raining, your head's not getting wet and water's certainly not getting inside the tent. But each side of that, you do have these windows, little V windows that you can undo and then roll open to the mesh underneath there. So there's one on each side, one here, one on the other side there. Not much more to show in the awning here, but before I crawl inside, I just want to show you the door here. And I will just turn a light on to try and, because the light suppressing technology on the fabrics makes it really dark inside here. So we just have to use a light to kind of show you as best we can. Now these is a unique feature that I've seen on most 23-0 tents. So this has got zips that run down the side here, and instead of using a strip of Velcro along the bottom, 23-0 use a bit of a stiffener bar in here. So there's a little bit of a sort of flexi or fiberglass pole in there. So by the time you've got the zips done up on each side here, this just sits there and doesn't flap around, it doesn't lift up. Saves just having that strip of Velcro there that you have to crawl over or get stuff stuck in, or sometimes it sticks down and it just kind of gets annoying, whereas this is just a stiffener bar that not only stops it flapping around, but also makes it really easy to roll the door up. Now underneath that, you do have the mesh panel. This one here's the mesh panel hanging down, so you could just do the mesh panel up there as well. So you've just got mesh. If you've got lots of ventilation, you've got ventilation through here, the windows on the side there, mesh through here, and the windows on each side as well. Now crawling inside the tent, inside the rooftop tent here, first is starting with a mat. Now this is a 65mm mat. It's quite a nice dense foam, feels really comfortable. It's got this cover on it that is removable. Got this zipper here so you can take it off if you like, and it's held in place by these Velcro tabs on the corners here. Now the cover on it feels really durable. It's got kind of this quilted sort of look about it, and that quilted look continues right up over the back here. So it's got quite a nice feel inside the tent here. In terms of dimensions, it's 225 centimeters in length and 152 centimeters in width, but the mat itself is a little bit less than that because the mat finishes here, whereas the extra space that cover gives extends out a little bit further there. So the mat is 200 centimeters and measures 143 centimeters at the widest bit here, and then it kicks in a little bit where it goes around the frame here. It's 133 centimeters at the foot end there. And in terms of height, at the highest point here, it's about 110 centimeters. I think 23-0 say 113, but I measured about 110. You could push it out to 113. And that slopes down to about 80 centimeters at this point here. And there's this kind of frame that kicks up around there just to hold that up and out the way. So before I go into other features inside the tent, I just want to show you this pole here first, which is part of the setup that I've left on. Left off at the moment. You don't have to set it up, but it helps with a bit of water ingress, and it also gives you a spot to mount this LED light here. So this is a light bar with a scoop on the back here that just clips over this pole. So that's now held into place on that pole there. Just runs by USB, and you've got a little power control panel on there. So you've got light inside the tent. Now this pole, I'll just move this light, actually goes up the top here. So it's got a trigger release on here, so we can extend this out. One end, the end without the hook, which is this end here, goes in through the loop at the top of the tent here and just pushes up against the back there. And then the C-clip end goes over the frame at this end of the tent here. We extend this out, and that kind of tightens the roof a little bit. So it's a good idea to put it in place most of the time. But furthermore, it's got this little sort of short pole here that just goes up like that and gives a peak to the roof, so it helps the water run off a little bit better. So if you do get a lot of rain, I guess given this large roof panel here, it could potentially create a little bit of water pull. This just lifts it up and allows that water to run off. And while we're up on the ceiling here, I'll just show you this panel here that can unzip and roll back. So you can roll this and secure it with the tabs up here. Let's keep it out the way for a bit more ventilation through the roof there, and you've now got a mesh panel there. Furthermore, you can undo this and access the roof fly. Now we can actually, we show it on our setup and pack down video, but this whole fly sheet can be removed or disconnected from the front of the tent and rolled up and secured back here. So you've got a completely open roof if you like. So if it is a really calm night or a clear night, you could just have the mesh panel closed to allow ventilation and do a bit of stargazing. If the rain does pick up during the night, you can unzip this, get out the tent, pull that fly down over the front, put the poles in place. You can do most of this from inside, or all of it really, from inside the tent, and secure the fly. So you can cater for all weather really. So easy to do without having to get outside the tent. So plenty of options there for setup for just about any sort of climate. Now, other features inside the tent, if we start, I'm just going to grab the light and shine it as we go around. We'll start over this side here. Firstly, I'll just point out the seam seals. So if you can see, all of these seams here are sealed. So a really waterproof tent. Everything's seam sealed. Not going to get any water in there at all, and it's got to get through the fly sheet before it gets to this anyway. So on this side here, we've got the window. This is mirrored on the other side. So you've got your canvas panel on the inside, your mesh panel on the outside there. And if you open this up, you can now reach out and put those poles in place to secure this window awning out. So you can really go from fully ventilated to completely protected from the weather from inside the tent without having to get out of the tent. Down below that, little storage pocket here, so you can just keep your keys and things handy. That's just in front of the mounting bracket here. We can see here that this is the fold point for the tent here. So this is where it folds over. Moving back a little bit, nice to see. You can just see where this is the aluminium case here. This is all laminated, so the case here feels quite nice. All sort of secured, so overlaps here for weather protection. Back here is where we would have space to pack our bedding. So when this is fold up, we've got about 30 centimeters from this point here to where the other half of the tent folds up. Just to put some bedding, a couple of pillows and some sleeping bags in here so we can pack it up inside the rooftop tent while it's in transit. Now we show more of that in our pack down or setup pack down video, so check it out there. Moving further around, I didn't show on the other side, but there's two gas struts. There's one of these on each side. So these are inside the tent here just to assist with the lifting of the roof panel here, or the cover here. Up the top here, you've got a little portable, they call it a portable power supply pocket. You can put whatever you want in there, I suppose, if you like, but the idea of that is that you can use that for your little USB power supply that you're using to power the LED light that's included with the tent. Moving around further, same thing on this side. We've got that other window here. This is all done up at the moment, exactly the same as what I showed you on the other side. Pocket underneath for storage once again. And if I just move across in front of the camera to show you at the front here, you have another portable power supply pocket. So you can store it at either end that you like, or whatever you want to store in there. And then you can see that frame that comes up over the top. There's a couple of straps here. This is all just part of the structure or the setup of the tent, just to pull this over as it's being set up. And then we're back around to that door at the front there that we crawled through. That is the 230 Panther 1600 rooftop tent. A great touring option for couples, with that hard shell on the top that allows you to mount solar panels over the top of it. Plenty of different weather setup options with that fly that rolls up over the top, the awnings over the side of the windows, light suppressing technology so you can either sleep during the day or get a sleep in during the morning. And you've got space to store some bedding inside, so you get extra space inside your vehicle. If you've got any questions on this tent, let us know down in the comments below. You want to check out other details, you can do at snowies.com.au, where you find them at our lowest prices every day.